I guess we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to Grazer Westminster live stream. It's Con here. I've been absent last week. Unfortunately, I was a bit under the weather and I was contemplating of doing a live stream on the day, but I had all sorts of liquids coming out for all sorts of flows. So overall, I just decided that, okay, I better just, have a rest and come back twice as strong today. And we're going to catch up on all sorts of news. We had like we had this kind of movies award season where all sorts of awards happening over the last month or so. So for photography industry, we had two big exhibitions. Well, we have CP Plus in Japan, which was at the end of February, and then we have a big UK event coming up, which is starting tomorrow, and it's a photography and videography show that is in London this year. It's in Excel. So hopefully some of you are coming there. I know I will be going there myself on Monday, visiting, but more like less in capacity of a YouTube person and more in the capacity of a business owner, where I kind of going to go there to discuss certain things with the suppliers. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time in analog section of that show. But of course, I'm going to catch up with Nikon as well. I'm going to say hello to Richie, Bruno, and all sorts of good folks at Nikon stand. I'm going to see what other manufacturers are doing as well, because it's always fun to see what's up from other manufacturers. So there's all sorts of things there. But in the meantime, before we continue the full show, and I hope I remember how to do this because it's been 2 weeks and obviously I don't remember now. Tell me, how is the video quality? How is the audio quality? Am I clipping? Am I too quiet or something like this? I know my voice is a bit lower right now, but that's because I'm coughing a little bit. But let me know in the comments below. And hello and thank you to everyone who joined me today. And again, I'm sorry that I've been missing last week. Hello, Simon, Len, John, Kirill, Rick, Terence, David, Barry, Jacob, Jay Blue, Colin Brahmer, Richard Holland, Michael Reed, Dave Thompson. So many people. Vince, Ian, Colin, Per, Nick Harrison, Juliet, Pete Gazzolo, Robert M., Eric, and Sam P. Chase. So many people. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. It's definitely good to see you all. I also have to say thank you for people I missed, for people who came to the shop, and it's Larry and Susie Phillips from Dallas, Texas. So thank you very much for stopping by. I'm sorry I was in the shop to meet you, but thank you very much for leaving your card. It's, well, hopefully next time you're here, I will come and say hello to you. But thanks so much. I really, really appreciate it. Before we start, let's have a coffee together. Since it's coffee with corn, I'm gonna pour one myself as well. I don't know what's in today. I think it's some South American coffee, actually. I do like a good single origin coffee myself. But there's also new Nikon promotions started in UK and Europe with, I think it's like up to £850 savings. So very similar to what they had over winter period. So if you're thinking of buying a Nikon, especially Z mount Nikon, then there's plenty of deals for you there. Check out our website, have a look at that. There's quite a few discounts there, like on such as like Nikon Z8 discounts, Z6 III, you name it, bunch of lenses as well. Coolpix P 1100 and Z35 1.2 lenses are now shipping, so that's good news. I think they're out of stock, but the shipments are coming. And Nikon also came out with this kind of standard press release in Japan where they say, "Ooh, we didn't expect the camera to be, so popular. So please wait and understand that there's going to be some delays on shipping on that." So that's what they said. I guess if you don't release camera like this, then you have some sort of void that needs to be filling, and it seems like there's a lot of people like that particular camera. So Coolpix P 1100. Now, Voigtlander 28mm 1.5 is also now shipping. I think the first allocation is now sold out. They sold really, really well. I think it's probably would be the best pre-ordered Voigtlander lens for, just full stop. We me and Becky are going to review this particular lens. We have a demonstration unit which you can come in and try. I'm going to see Becky tomorrow, so we're going to film a review on this lens tomorrow. So if you want to say hello to Becky as well, let me know in the chat. Yes, I will pass it on. Yeah, so there's like so far I've done some tests. Looks really good. I've got Voigtlander F2 Ultron and also Voigtlander 2.8 color cuppa for Leica mount, which I use on my Nikon ZF. But I think this particular one might just be the one to actually go onto my Nikon ZF, and that would be probably a nice complementing the system together with a 40mm 1.2 Voigtlander lens. I think those are the best lenses for me personally, but obviously there's apples and stuff like this. And yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about all sorts of news. Again, Voigtlander announced 28mm f2 Apple for Leica mount, so I hope it will come to Nikon as well. If there any particular news that you saw over the last 2 weeks, skip the politics, please. I know it's very difficult to be not involved into politics right now, but we talk about photography today. So, and it's very hard for me as well because I have some opinions on that, you know. So, but let's not talk about what's happening in the world right now because it's quite sad, really. But let's talk about photography news. If you found any particular photography news that you found interesting, definitely let me know in the comments below. We can discuss them all together. Thank you very much, Jay Blue. He says, happy Friday, Con. We missed seeing you last week. Glad you're feeling better. Enjoy the coffee. Thank you very much, Jay Blue. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Vince, as well. He's saying, hoping to make it Saturday. Usually avoid the weekend, but I'm away on Monday. Well, thank you very much, Vince. I really, really appreciate it. Let's see what everyone else is saying. I'm just going to catch up with the with the chat here, and Simon saying, good morning, Con. Here to listen to all Nikon news from CP Plus 2025. Any news on Z9 II? No, but if you've seen Nikon rumors now, they've just came up with the Z5 Mark II rumors, and they think that is going to be announced in May, and it's going to be a mixture of technology of Nikon ZF and Nikon Z6 III. Now, let's keep in mind that Z5 is a budget camera and there's a certain price point that it needs to hit. So my question to you in the chat is, do you think we will see a mixture of Nikon ZF and Z6 III, Nikon Z5 too? And what do you think the price point, the entry price point would be for the body only? Are we going to hit that magic $1,000, £1,000 mark, or do you think it's going to be more to, you know, going towards like $1,299 or $1,399, you name it? I mean, obviously, it is very difficult to discuss pricing right now because obviously for, you know, like majority of our viewers are from the United States, and obviously this whole tariff thing that is going on right now. So no one knows what's going to happen. Obviously, the question is, obviously, Nikon is Japanese cameras, but the cameras are manufactured all over the place. And if the things are manufactured in China, would the tariffs affect the prices of the Nikon equipment? All those things we kind of need to think of. So, but in Europe and UK, it's not an issue. So, but that's the thing. It's so difficult to talk about this right now because you don't know what's going to happen even in 5 minutes. I didn't have a live stream last Friday. You had a live stream from White House last week. So, you know, that's the thing. But it's all kind of like if we discuss and we're trying to project things and speculate on things, it's very difficult to say now with the, you know, whole this political climate and things like this. So, but I want to hear your opinions in the comments below and see what you think there. All right, so Reed Gates says, good morning, afternoon, Con, and everyone else. Good to see what we have for the show today. Miss having you last week. Thanks for the work. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good morning, Barry. Good morning, Colin. Let's see. So we got people from all over the world, which is really, really nice. Actually, I really appreciate that. Okay, so since no news and no questions for me, some photography questions as well, let's see what your opinions on Z5 Mark II here. So, okay, let's see. So all the higher angler says from Nikon rumors, the Nikon Z5 Mark II cameras rumored expect to be announced in May. So what's your opinion, the higher angler, on that? Chase ordered keep-on helicoid Z2M42 adapter like here, and it's on back order. Randomly arrived 2 days ago. Fantastic. Let me know what your thoughts on this. I've got just a basic one, and it does the job. It's not amazing, though. Speaking of adapters, obviously, we had the announcement of Monster adapter, which is LAFZ1, and it's an autofocus adapter that we were asking Nikon to release. And basically, what that allows to do is allows for autofocus on Z cameras of old AF-AFD type lenses, those lenses that don't have built-in autofocus modes like AFI and AFS lenses, but they are driven by a little fork that couples with the lens normally, and that would drive the autofocus. So, and that means that the fork is actually drives the motor inside the camera. So obviously Z cameras don't have built-in autofocus motor in them. So all the Nikon Z lenses have built-in autofocus inside the lenses, not the cameras. So what this adapter allows to do is it allows to drive those lenses that currently don't autofocus via FTZ adapter on the Z cameras. Now, obviously, my question about this for you is the price. It's $400. $400. My question for you, is it because it's a $400 price because there's nothing else on the market and Monster adapters just decided to just, oh, why won't you just put this price because you can't get anything else, or it's so expensive to manufacture? This is my question to you. I want to hear your opinion on this, because when we talked about this Magic FTZ3 adapter for many years, you know, we called it different names, but yeah, it's the autofocus adapter that allows AFD lenses to autofocus on Z cameras. Me and Becky were talking about actual cost of it, and we were saying that if Nikon would release this type of adapter, it would cost $500 plus. Yeah, or £500 plus, you know. So, and here's like, in my opinion, if Monster adapter comes out with a $400, then the Nikon price would be around $600 even, if you see what I mean. But that's the thing. It's the question is it because it's so difficult to manufacture, or is it just a random price that Monster adapter just decide, okay, well, whatever our actual cost is, this is the price we're going to put on it. So I need your opinions on this, because again, this show is about you, is about talking to you, is about hearing your opinions. And if there's no opinions or questions to me, we don't have the show. So I would like to have a chat with you and see what you think. We got Seth Miranda in the chat. Good to see you, Thad. Hope you well. All right, so David Stoll says about Z5 Mark II, ZF Guts and Z6 body would be my guess. Interesting take. That's good. I will pass on your all hellos to Becky, definitely. She's always delighted to hear that you guys, you know, say hello to her, because it's always, you know, when you hear nice things, it's, you know, we all appreciate this. We are human beings after all. Okay, let's see. Paul Hallam asked a question. Hi, the second-hand film camera market is crazy. How are you finding it, Grace? It's going. I think there's less supply nowadays than it used to be. The prices have gone up, which means the prices we pay for the cameras also gone up quite a bit. It's not crazy, to be honest with you. Certain prices have settled. If you saw, let's say, the prices on my Mia 7 a few years ago, like, you know, they've fluctuated quite a bit. I think the prices now settled quite a bit. I think it is a market that is here to stay. It's not going to compete with digital market, and this is, you know, when we always talk about it, it's not a competition. Those are two different markets, and they're here to stay. I think that if you're lucky and you have your local yard sales or your local flea markets, there's a good chance of finding a camera that actually works for a reasonable cost as well. So, you know, have a look at this, see if, you know, local photography groups sell, you know, so like, especially like, you know, local photography groups, some people sell to each other, and then you can definitely pick up equipment that is, you know, let's say cheaper. But if you're looking at the cost for dealers, it also includes of servicing of the cameras before selling them, and that's what kind of raises the prices as well. So that's what it is. A lot of those cameras will require a service before being put on the market, like refoaming or certain adjustments like light seals, etc. So some of them require a bit more involvement from that point of view. Mark is asking, do you think we will see ZFC Mark II? I think we will see it at some point. It could be later this year. Who knows? Let's find out together. I think it will happen for sure. That's a given. Let's say it's just the question is when. Welcome back, Con, says Kirill. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Could we please just call it P1100 and Z6 3? Yeah, isn't it? Or Mark 3? I don't know. Also, I'm now a proud subscriber of Nikon Owner Digital. Enjoy it a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kirill. I really appreciate it. This is the new magazine that's been posted to our subscribers. You can subscribe digitally. My code, which is CONLIVE, is still valid, and I think it gives you £10 off, which means digital subscription is about £29 instead of £39. So yeah, and I saw a cover for the next issue of Nikon Owner magazine, which I can't share with you, but it looks very, very cute. So once you see it, you will know what I mean. All right, so J Blue says Nikon Z5, mostly similar functionality as ZF, price about $1,500. Interesting take. I think, yeah, that could be it. That could be it. So yeah, that's the question. Yeah, I think the magical point of $1,000 is normally like after half a year, and that's on sales basically. Give us a like, says Randall. Thank you very much, Randall. We always appreciate that. Jacob is photographing concert today. I know you were photographing last time. I hope our chart tip, our live chart tip on the gig photography helped you, because I know that people, not just me, but people were giving some suggestions there. And he said, thanks for the tips. I'm taking my ZF 27-75 lens, maybe 1 or 2 primes for the punk and metal concert. Sounds good. It's my first time. Excited. Well, all you have to do, don't be afraid, just throw yourself in the situation and just get the best out of it. You know, you'll learn a lot while shooting, while doing it. And I think, you know, we all read like, let's say, the guides, and we watch the YouTube videos, but once you start to do it yourself, you will learn a lot, because you know how you're going to feel about it, you know, and what you know what works, what doesn't work as well, and, you know, you will adjust accordingly. So definitely enjoy your first experience. I'm sure you're going to have fun. Hello, Deborah. She's saying, I think it has to be a combination of ZF and Z6 III, but it's likely to be higher in price. Well, that's kind of where my kind of point of the magical figure of 999 comes in. How can we get to the point where we can get all that functionality of Z6 III and ZF into a price point which is going to be at 999? I don't think we can. I think, yeah, that's why I'm thinking about more towards 1299 or 1399 points. And obviously we had inflation, crazy inflation for the last 3 years, so I think it's very difficult to actually get to that 999 point, you know, quite easily. You know, I think, yeah, it's quite difficult to do. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Do you think it's going to come out in May, or do you think we'll have to wait a little bit longer for this? Juliet is asking, hi Con, do you think Nikon will ever create a compact Z camera? I love my ZF, but sometimes I want something more discreet. I absolutely agree with you. I think we definitely need a more compact camera. For example, like there's a rumor the Fuji GFX camera, which is medium format camera, but it's the one that's called compact, which should be the size of X Pro 1. You know, and the reason for that is they obviously want to, you know, have something alongside X100V, which is a DX sensor, and then have a larger sensor. So I see if those companies do this, and Seth, wink at me if you know more about this GFX compact. Definitely would like to hear more about that. But I think Nikon really should consider this. Now, will they come out or not? That's the good question. I don't know. I think it's a decision that it's quite a big decision, because it's going to be the first camera in that space for Nikon. So they will, you know, there's a lot of things go into not just making decisions, but also, I guess, it's to do with the, you know, manufacturing process as well. So they need to set up a line, you know, at the factory. So there's a lot to go into that. And obviously, if you set up it for one camera, potentially you may want to have 2 cameras in lineup. You know, you name it. But we talked about this. We talked about in the past about just kind of, you know, Leica has a Q series, Sony had our RV or RZ series. series cameras with the 35mm built-in Zeiss lens and things like this. So I think there's definitely a market there. It's a niche market, of course. It's not going to sell a lot compared to the Z series cameras. And the question is, well, does Nikon want to get into that kind of niche market? And, and do they know how much cameras they can sell? So I think there's a lot of research that needs to go in there. And obviously, just research in terms of actually marketing and pricing of the camera and see if there's enough market for this. But obviously, there's research and development to actually designing camera as well. So I think Nikon should do this. Will they ever release it? I'm not sure. That's the thing. But I would definitely welcome it. Says Z5 Mark II just needs a new processor, a new autofocus system. It was super capable for the price, full frame when it came out, and now it just needs to keep the vibe going to get new users in the system. I agree with you, and when we talked about the price as well, we also had the Z50 Mark II, which has XP7 processor and the new AF system. It's obviously a DX sensor on a DX body, but autofocus system is there, XP processor is there. It's priced under £1,000. So this technology is there. Obviously, Z5 Mark II will be a full-frame camera, but technically the processor and the AF system can be there and can be brought to a certain figure, if you see what I mean. Now, the sensor, of course, will push the price up. Keep that in mind. Z50, and it says, yeah, Z50, you see, I read one comment at a time, but it basically says the same thing. Z52 showed how much they can stuff in with the new processor at a good price. So, yeah, exactly. Let's see if I missed anything else here. So I hope I'm not going to skip anyone. Jay says, honestly, Con, the keep-on is kind of disappointing for the price, but it's step up above my cheap eBay ones. Yeah, keep-on's never been cheap. I agree with you, yeah. I guess, it comes down to as well, obviously, it's probably made really well. That's the thing. I had some keep-ons adapters back in the day, and they were definitely, in terms of tolerance and in terms of build quality, they were very good. All the High Angler says, an upgrade to XP7 isn't the Z5 is a given. I assume it's a given, but what else will be included and what price? Comments on NR, I assume it's Nikon Rumors, believe it will be available between 1400 and 1800. Well, all the High Angler, what else do they need to add? Z5 is the budget camera. Z5 is not going to excel in anything. It's not going to be a cutting edge. It's a jack of all trades. It's designed around the price more than anything else. So in terms of this, you get the sense, like, the whole point is to fit value for money, let's say this. So it's a performance per dollar or pound. That's what it is. So I won't expect any miracles in terms of surprise there. So it could be some software things, could be some user interface things, like they could have a different interface designed for more entry-level user, like they had on D3000 sisters cameras, guide mode, things like this. It's not going to excel in terms of autofocus speed, sensor performance, low light performance, but it's going to be a good value, a jack of all trades, fit under a certain price point. That's what it is. Okay, let's see. MT Lynch says, and this refers to the Monster FTZ adapter with autofocus, basically. It says $400, probably a fair price given the firmware and focus motor being in the adapter. Here we go, and that's what we're saying. If Nikon would release one, it would be even higher. But I was surprised to see $400. I would assume that this type of adapters from third-party manufacturers would be around 250 mark. So 400 was surprising for me, and that's the question. Is it difficult to manufacture? Is that the cost of manufacturing is quite high? So yeah, but as you say, MT Lynch says it's fair price. Would you buy one? Another point about this is, as I said back in the day, when Z system was released, we definitely had more need for this type of adapter than we have now. Now we are on generation 3 of Nikon ZAF system and cameras. And in terms of this, a lot of users who upgraded their bodies, they already switched to Z lenses. A lot of users who had those D lenses, they've sold them. Obviously, it doesn't mean there's no one else there, but I think there's just the amount of people who need this adapter now is smaller than it was before. That's my reasoning for that. And I think now, people have much tougher time purchasing one than it would be, let's say, 5 years ago when the first Z camera came out. That's my thinking about it. I could be wrong, and obviously we welcome that adapter because the more options Nikon users have, the better, you know. So I absolutely agree with you on this one. But this is kind of my thinking. I think it's, you know, I feel it's a bit too late to the party, but I'm glad it's happening anyway. Seth was at CP Plus. Nice. What else did you see? What undercover things did you see there? I would love to go to CP Plus. It's a bit cold in Japan at this time of the year, but I've been to Japan twice, and it was end of February and beginning of March both times, and in certain places very, very cold. Yeah, I think next time for me probably would be around maybe April, May. That would be absolutely amazing. All right, let's see what else do we have in the chat here. Says Z6 II will just be closed out of discontinuation price situation. Will they discontinue it? That's the thing. I mean, they were running 2 gen cameras at the same time. When Z6 II was a new camera, Z6 was still sold, and Z6 was discontinued. I wouldn't say fairly recently, but it was discontinued in 2024. So it was still, you could still buy a brand new one. You know, around the same time last year. So that's the thing. Would they want to have 2 cameras that basically do the same thing? You know, and technically if Z5 has X-Speed 7, it will perform better than Z6 II in terms of autofocus. So all sorts of thoughts there. Let's go further and see more of your comments here. Give this live stream a like if you can, because it definitely helps the channel to reach more users like yourselves. And if you're just watching us live but not in the chat, come and join our chat, because there's a lot of like-minded folks in the chat there talking Nikon photography. So, you know, come join us, join the chat in the chat. All right. Eric Laurie has a question. Says, we've seen glass plate cameras, film DSLRs, and mirrorless. What's the next big future leap in camera technology? I don't know. I mean, we talk like, if we're looking like small specifics, obviously global shots, it seems to be like a big thing that's happening now. I think, you know, film photography has been around for some time. Digital photography has been around for some time. I don't think, you know, it's all going to be digital anyway, but, you know, with those things, big leaps are going to take much longer nowadays, I think. I think we've reached the point of saturation. Like if you look at digital photography, let's say when D200, D300 was out, even D3, each generation of cameras would have a massive leap in terms of image quality and low light performance, you know, and then obviously with the mirrorless cameras, the first mirrorless cameras were slow, and then we start to see an increase in that, you know, in performance. But I think we've reached the point of technology where the image quality is so good that even the camera that, let's say, 2 generations behind, like, you know, can produce outstanding images, and we can't really complain about this performance. So what we will see is basically small incremental improvements, and it's obviously a question of diminishing returns, really, but it's everywhere. You look at the graphics cards nowadays. I know some of you were looking at the, you know, this is going to go very niche, but, you know, obviously NVIDIA launched their new graphics cards. AMD just launched their new graphics cards, and you can see that, especially NVIDIA performance, where they try to promote there's a big leap. Actually, the leap is not that massive in terms of performance. The prices have gone up, though, so, you know, that's what it is. But yeah, give it in 10 years, we'll probably see something happening there. So, you know, but I think megapixel raise is more or less finished now. I think we're going to stay around the same figures for quite some time. Tom says, Nikon Coolpix Z or Z. I call it Z personally. I changed the name though, and the name was one of the problems of Coolpix A. Yeah, Coolpix A is a lovely camera, still holding its price on second-hand markets like eBay. But yeah, I think it would be nice to see Nikon camera like that. Absolutely. Thomas says, Nikon has all information in the house, what is needed for HZ3 adapter, but they also know about all the problems that come up with all the lenses. And for me, I accept that Nikon refuses to build one. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with your take. So that's the thing. They can if they want to. It's not a problem. It's just, yeah, I think it just doesn't make sense or not. That's another question. But again, Nikon has done certain things in the past that kind of were against the mainstream and was very niche. So, they can surprise us. Simon Hopkins says the steps between D7000, D7200, and the D5000, D5600 were minor incremental changes to the sensors and processors. I don't see any reason to change the development per session. It worked in DSLR. Well, the examples you give are actually quite interesting because, so, like on 3000 and 5000 series, they literally they released a new camera every year, and it was basically the same camera rebadged effectively, with minor increments. Now D7000 was all over the place, I think, because D7000 was 16 megapixels, but then I think D71 and 7200s came out at 24 megapixels, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And then D7500 had a 20 megapixel sensor. So that particular model was quite interesting in terms of what they decided the next camera is going to have. But definitely very different sensors, on at least 3 different models. But technically there were 4. In D7000 series. So yeah, that particular one. But yeah, I think we see more differences definitely in the more expensive models where, and then cheaper models have smaller increments just to fit the price tag, I guess. Ian Weiss asks, do you know if there's any plans for 7200 f4 for that mount? I don't know anything, but I personally think that there's definitely 7200 f2.8 and there's a 72-180 f2.8 and there's 2 different price points to them. And I think that maybe is the Nikon's answer to 7200 f4 because if Nikon releases 7200 f4, it will compete directly with 70-180 f2.8, especially on the price, because I think it's going to be about the same price. And then, will Nikon need that? It definitely needs to be smaller. I know in Nikon Z lenses, they're not exactly small. So that's where my thinking is. And that's, I think, the reason why we're not seeing 7200 f4. But we haven't, that's where my thinking is. Could be wrong on this one, but again, I don't think it's a priority for Nikon right now. They may surprise us. Who knows? Let's see. Let's go further down the road and see if I missed anything here. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. Okay. Nigel Sutton says, do you think we should give up waiting for the pixel shift and pre-capture RAW firmware upgrade for Z9? Do you think they've been saved for Z9 Mark II? I think, Nigel, we shouldn't give up on Nikon Z9 and its firmware update. I think it probably will come. I really don't see why not. I'm going to ask Nikon again when I see them at photography show. The same question. Obviously, I won't get the answer, but let's see if I can read through the lines. But I think it will come eventually. I don't, we've seen Nikon Z6 and Z7s being still updated. So, I think it's too early to give up on Z9 firmware updates. G. Marseille says, Nikon's Mark Cruz said Nikon won't be making a screwdriver FTZ type adapter. Has Nikon changed their stance? To be honest with you, it's correct until one comes out. So, with all people say at the time, those are the plans at the time, they can't talk about the products that have not been released yet. So Z6 III didn't exist till it was official announcement, if you see what I mean. So that's the thing. So it's very difficult to say. So I think he was correct at the time. We would have will Nikon release it or not? That's still in the limbo, I think. I don't think they've changed their stance or anything, but we don't have any confirmation if they ever worked on it or they're working on it, that they plan to release it or not. But as it stands, Mark Cruz is absolutely correct. Okay, Simon Hopkins says, instead of FTZ3, how about digital split screen option for in the Nikon EVF? We can use AIS lenses natively on Z bodies. Again, Simon, I think we go to such a niche territory that will it make sense or not? That's a good question. I think it could potentially be done digitally because since you're looking at the screen anyway, I wonder if it could be done where you got 2 different feeds effectively. I think within the firmware it may be possible, especially with the cameras with the XP 7 Pros. Who knows? Will we see it again? I don't know, but again, it comes down to a very niche thing, and obviously Nikon has a zoom in button effectively on all manual focus lenses where you can zoom in, and I have my zoom on FTZ confirmed to OK button, so I press to OK, and I digitally zoom into, well, to 100% to see if my where I'm focusing is sharp or not, and I press OK to zoom out real quick and take a shot. So that's the thing. So I think if they can do this, the split screen digital implementation is possible. How difficult it is, that's another question. I'm not a software engineer. I don't know, but why not? Dave Stoll says, I still have multiple F-mount bodies to drive my D lenses. Using them on Z-mount has never been a concern, and don't see why I'd buy an adapter. All-round nostalgia for me, not function. Well, that's the thing, and the D lenses are fairly inexpensive nowadays. Spending $400 on adapter to drive your D lenses, I'm not sure if that's, if that's particular, like if there's a need for that. Again, the D lenses, there's not many outstanding D lenses. They're good lenses. They perform really well, but there's no, like, I can't really think of any particular lens that was like super sharp and it's a legendary D lens. Please let me know in the comments below. I do love the H5 1.4D. I did find that I had to upgrade to H5 1.4G as soon as the 800 came out, basically, just because the focusing wasn't consistent enough to nail such shallow depths of field. So, and the chromatic aberrations wide open, so basically purple fringed and things like this. So that's what I had. So I had to upgrade. So that's the thing. So if you think about it, the D lenses are lovely lenses, and I still use them on my F100, and they can be used on Nikon FM3A with manual focus. Obviously, manual focus ring is not going to feel as nice as proper manual focus lens, but it's possible. But that's the thing. You can buy a set of D lenses, probably 2 or 3 D lenses, like, I don't know, maybe 35 and 51/8 or 28 and 51/8 for about $400 as well on eBay and places like this. So that's what it is. Good to see you, Seth. Hopefully to see you again soon. All the high anglers says, unlike Seth, I don't know anything about but I doubt Nikon would downgrade Z5 in any way. No, they won't downgrade Z5 in any way. Obviously, Z5 Mark II is not going to be a downgrade of anything, but it's designed to fit certain point. I think that's kind of the reason for that. So it's not going to outperform Z6 Mark III. It won't outperform Nikon ZF. It's probably will be on par with Nikon ZF, if you see what I mean. Will it be different sense? I don't believe it needed an entry-level full-frame camera. Price is critical. Well, that's the thing. I think we'll see a certain compromise, so it doesn't compete with Z6 Mark III. It probably will be on par with Nikon ZF. The thing about ZF is obviously it sits in a separate line from Nikon, so this price is in a way justifiable because it's very different camera. We're not talking about technical specs. We talk about usability and just overall feel of the camera and controls. So that's why the price is going to be different. But the performance-wise, they can be the same. I don't see why not. And then people will still make decision on how they're planning to use the camera. Let's go further down the road. Rick Getty says, Con, I would buy the new F2Z adapter. I like have options for the sake of creativity. The older lenses have, than the added benefit of autofocus. Yeah, that's fine, but that's the thing. Like, there's not many D lenses in the Nikon lineup. So technically, your manual focus lens will still be manual focus. So they're absolutely fine on FTZ adapter, just a standard FTZ Mark I or Mark II adapter. So that's the thing. It just comes down to, like, is it justifiable? So obviously for you, Rick, it's justifiable, and I definitely respect that. But I do feel that for a lot of folks, it's probably a way high price for that amount of lenses to put on, to have autofocus with, because AFS lenses autofocus automatically anyway. So that's the thing. It was a weird press release, by the way, by Monster Adapter. They say it will give autofocus with AF and AFD lenses, but it won't give you autofocus with AFS lens. And that was And I thought, that's weird, because standard FTZ gives you autofocus with FTZ lenses. Why not? So, but then they said that depending on how well it sells, we may implement the firmware update, which is, interesting take on this. But yeah, it feels like you buy this and you literally just going to use AFD lenses. And as soon as you need to use your AFS F-mount lens, you have to go back to FTZ adapter. I found it strange. But it could be certain things lost in translation. But I was just reading the press release on the Nikon Rumours website. Let's go further down the road and see what other things are. My chart just refreshed, so I've jumped way too down. So let me just quickly catch up and see. Okay, so I think I've read through this, which is good. Yeah, there was a GPS on D5500. That's true. The D5300, Simon. Yeah, I agree with you. That was a weird one as well. Very interesting. And then they removed it as well. Yes, D700 had a Toshiba sensor, which is a good sensor, by the way. I really like that sensor. I was surprised why they went to, 20.9 megapixel sensor, but, it is what it is. Yes, J Blue says, the new Sigma BF is a bold attempt at simplification of an enthusiast camera. Do you foresee Nikon and other cameras attempting something similar in a camera design and user interface design? J Blue, you hit the nail on the point, because I had it actually on my list of topics to discuss. And I think Sigma BF, or we should call it Sigma BFF, best friends forever, is a fantastic camera, and it's a very bold design choice. It's not camera for me. It's not camera for 99% of all people. But I respect Sigma for doing this. Massive respect for this, because being different sometimes is good. We don't need to see. We don't need to, like Z5 Mark II. We all know what it's going to be. Nikon Rumours can write the article and say, yeah, it's a mix of ZF and Z6 III. It's a given. If you see what I mean, there's nothing else implemented there. The only information that is there, that's important for me is like May release. If you see what I mean. So Sigma BF, it's a very interesting decision. Again, they decided to go this way. I personally think that Nikon will never do this. Which I think they should, but it's one of those products that, again, we can call it Marmite. It can win, if we have to predict will Sigma BF fail, I'm sure that probably 90% of you will vote that it's dead on arrival. But if it sells really well, we will discover that there's a bunch of people who are looking into this type of a new product, which is also photography. So it shouldn't be gatekept to certain specifications and camera designs and things like this. So I do respect Sigma BF for what it is. Not a camera for me, but I think it's definitely a brave choice. I like the design. They all obviously go in this Apple-esque design where you basically design the camera and it's one piece of aluminium or whatever that is of metal, and then they cut out the case out of it. It looks like a beautiful object, and pardon me. I respect that. Let's go further. Pompey saying, thank you very much. I really enjoy the content. 2 questions. Have you shot with Z7 II? What do you think? I've shot with Z7 II quite a few times. It's a great camera. It's a fantastic sensor. In terms of dynamic range, I think it's still the best 45 megapixel sensor from Nikon. He's saying, I'm thinking of purchasing this camera, but I can't get consistent information. It's a great landscape camera. It's a great all-rounder. As long as you're happy with the 45 megapixel sensor, it's great. As I say, anything portraiture landscape type of work, it's great. Its autofocus is normal, but it's not as fast as Generation 3 cameras. So overall, you won't be disappointed in my opinion. But unless you need a camera for sports, then I would look at a different camera. But just general photography, it will perform really well. For me, if I have to choose between Z6 III, Z6 II and Z7 II, I personally would go for Z7 II if I would do stills photography, and if I would shoot mixture of both, then I would go for Z6 Mark II. And the Z6 Mark II will perform slightly better in low light in terms of noise levels. That's what it is. Thank you, Jay Walker, for joining us today. Um, let's go further and see more comments. Thank you very much, Gary. He says, good afternoon, everyone. Enjoy the coffee. Thank you very much. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. I'm interested to see your takes on the on the Z50 Mark II and the adapter as well. Let me throw some other things into the mix. Zeiss announced their Otus lenses. It's 50mm 1.5 and 85. 50mm 1.4 and 85mm f1.4 lenses. They're marked as Otus. They're priced at £2,500 for 51.4 and $3,000 for 85.14. Last time I saw Otus prices, they were 5,000 plus. So I'm quite surprised that Otus logo is cheaper nowadays than it used to be. So Zeiss has been out of lens manufacturing, as far as I know, for quite some time, and now they are back. Good to see them back. What are your thoughts on Zeiss lenses? Obviously, Zeiss has been a big player, and obviously Zeiss lenses have legendary quality to them, or at least, people who were buying, let's say, F-mount Zeiss lenses, they were saying that if you know, you know, if you see what I mean. So I want to hear your thoughts. So those obviously available for pre-order with certain dealers. We don't stock those. Do you think we should stock Zeiss Otus lenses at Grace or Westminster? Let me know in the comments below. It might be an interesting idea. Let's go further and see what other people are saying. So Nick Harrison saying, happy to leave my FTZ behind once I have the Z fisheye and maybe 300mm PF, then I will not lose, they will not have any other F-mount lenses. Interesting take. I think fisheye definitely is probably, wants to have, but yeah, 300 PF is a fantastic lens. I think, yeah, ideally, obviously we're missing 300 and 500mm lenses Nikon line up. Again, I think they may come as well as 1700 f4. It's, at this stage, it's very difficult to predict when. That's the thing. It seems like they kind of filled most of the gaps, and now, they're not going to stop releasing lenses. Let's be honest. We will start to see, they will still release lenses. Absolutely. So it's just now it's a lot more tricky to predict what is the next lens that's going to come from Nikon. All right. Matt Lee says, what do you think the missing Z4 could be if it does ever come into existence? Well, I think it's Z4 or Z3. I don't think they'll use 4 number in general. If you notice, Nikon doesn't really have many 4 numbers in their camera naming. So we had D300, we had D500, we had D7200, we had D7500, we had D5300, and then we had D5500. You notice the pattern? So I would call it Z3, let's be honest. And for me, I think Z3 would be a Z30, so a vlogger's camera with full frame sensors. There's obviously different ways that can go. It could be just a Z30 with a full frame, so to compete with the Sony offerings in that space. But obviously Nikon acquired Red, so it could be something coming this way as well. So that's my thinking on this, Matt Lee. So hope that answers that question. Chase says, the 51.4D was a really nice character lens in my kit. I loved it for street photography, but it wasn't objectively a great lens either. Just the one I cherished. I agree, Chase. Like they're good lenses. They're really good lenses. They're not exceptional lenses. That's the thing. There's no legendary D lens that I know of. But the 28mm f 1.4D, which Jason 107 mentioned, yes, I think that's probably the one. To be honest with you, again, 28 1.4E just literally destroys it in terms of image quality. It's no, like, there's no comparison. So I think 28 1.4D is famous for being so rare and being collectible. I don't think it's an exceptional lens in terms of its optical performance. Could be wrong on this one. This is just my personal opinion on this. So, but yeah, they're good lenses. I'm not saying they're bad lenses. It's just when we're talking about legendary lenses, yeah, I feel like there's not much there, to be honest with you. But I have what, 51AD, I have 28 2.8D, I have 35 f2D, and they all kind of sit on my f100 when I shoot film with it, and I still love using my f100. I do love manual focus cameras, but f100, I throw a film in it when I need to shoot this roll on that day, and I have a specific thing. Like I was shooting, the Harman came out with their red film, And you know, I literally had a day, got the film day in advance of the announcement, and I wanted to shoot it and see what it is. I took my f100, you know, didn't put an FM3A because I just wanted to shoot it, you know, do a job, get good results, and be done with it. Fantastic. And again, the D lenses were the ones that I was using on it. All right, let's go further down the chart and see what people say. Chase says the BF Sigma is really neat from a design standpoint, but it looks impractical and uncomfortable to hold. To photographers, that's the thing. Again, we're looking at this camera is not designed. I don't need, like, Sigma advertised as a kind of simplistic camera for photographers. I think it's designed for people who get into photography and they don't want to get overwhelmed with all the buttons on their cameras, if you see what I mean. People coming from iPhones. So that's the design language. It's not, if you went through this and you've learned how your camera functions, you're going to have a hard time of using a camera like this, because suddenly so many buttons removed from your camera that you would normally use, and it would cause frustration. For people who don't have that foundation of camera use, they should be absolutely fine. So it's the design language not designed for seasoned photographers. It's a design language designed for people maybe coming to photography, maybe from mobile phones and, you know, places like this. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe, you know, they kind of struck a chord with it. Maybe they know something that we don't know. Nikon had Nikon 1 system. Obviously, we had V1, but we also had J1 system. Yeah, J1, which was entry level, which sold really well in Asian countries. So, you know, that's the thing. Again, it sold really well with female demographic as well. You know, so that's the thing. Again, like, if we discuss in here where, let's say, majority of our viewers are men, you know, we can't really we can't say this for everyone. There should be cameras that being enjoyed, you know, by different people. You know, that's my opinion about this. You know, so that's the thing. What we think is right doesn't mean that it's right for everyone else. That's the thing. So having this, you know, having those options, I think is absolutely amazing. That's the thing. Even if it's not a camera for us, you know, I'm just welcoming. Like, it's this kind of thing where I can take, you know, a picture with my mobile phone. I can take a picture with Z9. I can take a picture with a wet plate camera. I can take a picture with Sigma BF, and they all have very different approach to them, if you see what I mean. So that's why I kind of respect this. I don't think we should judge on certain things. I think it's just not aimed at you as a, you know, like, and at me. It's as simple as that. So that's the thing. I think it has absolute right to exist. Nikon Harrison says BF will make a good art gallery exhibit. All right, so that's, again, I can say exactly the same thing that I said before. Craig C says he has a slightly different opinion. He says, I've turned the corner a little bit on the Sigma BF. My initial reaction was an eye roll, as quite a lot of us, but have since come to appreciate what it is, who it is for. Not for me, but cool move. And that's exactly my opinion. I absolutely agree with you, Craig C. I think that's kind of like, you know, not camera for us, but that's fine. There's a lot of things that are not for us, let's be honest. You know, like, of course, we would appreciate if things are designed for us, and we get things that are designed for us. You know, that's the thing. But people are so different. That's the thing. You look at our comments, we have people saying, oh, well, it's not f2 lens, let's say it's 2.8 zoom, it's not f2 zoom, but, and the other people say, well, this is too expensive and I still enjoy my original Nikon Z6, you know. So there's so many of us and we're all different, you know, so to get the kind of, you know, I think the more the merrier, really, that's the thing. Deckard is asking, do you think Nikon will improve the autofocus further on Z8, such as object tracking accuracy? Deckard, I think autofocus on Nikon Z8 and Z9 is pretty good. Will we see a massive difference? No. You know, I think it's competitive with all other brands. We might see small tweaks here and there. Will it be measurable? That's a question. But there's a lot of things that happen in the firmware updates that are actually not published in firmware logs, if you see what I mean. So we've seen some firmware updates on the cameras that actually, you know, via film, like we've seen autofocus improvements via firmware updates where autofocus was not even mentioned. All right. Let's see. Let's go further down. I think I'm caught up with most of the things, which is really good, and I really appreciate that. It's been a long chat. Okay, here we go. So some ideas on Otus lenses, Zeiss Otus lenses. Jay Blue says, I think Grazer Smith should stock a few of the F-mount Zeiss Otus lenses and Milvus lenses and the new Z-mount Otus lenses. Interesting. I'll pass it on. I think F-mount lenses is going to be difficult. The market is much smaller now. I'm just even like looking at, let's say, Voigtlander F-mount glass. We stock it. We sell it a lot less than Z-mount. But I think it might be interesting for us to consider stocking Z-mount Otus lenses. So that's my thinking about it. But we've got supplier that we work with. It's the same supplier that's that basically distributes Voigtlander lenses, because it's Cosina at the end of the day. So, so technically we can potentially. I will let you know. I will definitely let you know on this. Simon says, I love my 5140 at f2. It's how I save weight while shooting. Yeah, the beauty of D lenses is the weight, absolutely. They're small and compact, and I really wish we start to see this for Z-mount, some lenses of this size. That would be very nice. Okay, let's go further here, see if we can get more opinions here. August AMP UK says, very exciting times for Nikon and its customers. Great first video lens. Possibility that the camera body lineup will be completed soon, making space for Z9, Z8 II. But big question is for megapixels on Z7 III. August, I absolutely agree with you. We have this conversation every now and then, and yes, I think there's two takes on this. It's either the same 45 megapixels and X-Speed 7 and autofocus improvements, or it could be some, let's say, low and slow camera with a higher resolution sensor, maybe fast autofocus but not fast frame rate, if you see what I mean. So where Nikon is going to go with it, that's a good question. We will see Z7 Mark III. That's an interesting question. I don't think, since we've last time discussed this, which was about 3 months ago, I don't think we've seen any updates on this from Nikon or any rumors on that. But I absolutely agree with you. I think if we go to more of a camera dedicated for slow approach with a, let's say, higher dynamic range, that's where I think Nikon should look into that. But if we get the cameras more or less the same and competes within the same space as other Nikon cameras, then you really dilute your pool of cameras that are doing exactly the same thing. So I feel like the choices should be different in a lineup, so people can choose their specific camera for their specific needs. They should do different things. Let's say they shouldn't do the same things the same way. They should do them differently. The only camera that's, should be kind of be more or less jack of all trades is Z5 Mark II, because it needs to hit a certain price point and be good enough for a lot of people, and again, Z5 is a great camera. Z5 is still a great camera. Ian White says the Sigma BF will fly out of the shops. All the hip people will love them. It's quite expensive camera for hip people. Just keep that in mind, Ian. So that's the thing. But I would really love to see the sales, of Sigma BF. I hope they do well, because it kind of will pave the way for a lot of cameras on the market. Let's see if I've got more topics for you to discuss. Who's coming to photography show, by the way? Raise your hand. Yeah, I'll be there on Monday, I think, in the morning. I'll pop down. Come say hello if you see me. As I say, I'm going to be more as a kind of a business owner capacity, so I'm going to be talking to a lot of suppliers. But we won't film anything there. I am looking forward to meeting Nikon as well. But yeah, if you're there on Monday, come and say hello. Let's see further. There was a firmware, firmware update, ZF firmware update rumored with the image cloud. That's fine. Oh, I really like this. I don't know if you guys saw the TT Artisan camera, the retro style camera that's will take a mini, Instax Mini pack into them, but it looks like a foldable camera, like those Fuji cameras. What's it? I think GF690, if I'm not mistaken, or something like this. So I really feel like if they can do the same camera but with a 120. that would take 120 film. That would be absolutely amazing. But again, it's cool that TT Artisan, which is kind of known for designing lenses, is now getting into camera space. So I personally think that if they continue, we'll onto something there. You know, we're definitely looking forward what they will release next. Let's see. August is saying 45.7 megapixel Z7 3-wheel partially stuck sensor would compete directly with Z8. So what's the point? If you see what I mean, what's the point to compete directly with the camera? You don't want to release cameras that kind of more or less the same, because what's the point? You should have different options. You know, have a menu of different things of the main courses. The let photographers choose their main course depending on their needs and what they like as photographers. That's my thinking behind it. David Feiju says, question, hi Con, the number of Viltrox lenses is growing in Z frame, just like other Chinese lenses. Do you think these lenses are officially licensed by Nikon or they reverse engineered? There's nothing officially licensed by Nikon, so the only officially developed with Nikon lenses were Tamron and Voigtlander. Also in their press release mentioned that they've been working with Nikon. So everything else you see is effectively reverse engineered. But it's the same with Autofocus adapters, where Z mount can take, Sony mount to Z adapter, and you can autofocus your Sony lenses on Z cameras. But kudos to them for doing the work. Kudos to them for providing us with a choice, especially at the lower end of market. Look, we need to get the prices low, and I think it's good to have those options available because equipment is getting more expensive by the day. So I'm really appreciate that those companies do this, and they're getting better and better. And I'm glad that, let's say, even 5 years down the road, we wouldn't have third-party manufacturers in a conversation, you know, and now we consider them as a valid manufacturers of Nikon Z mount lenses. So that's incredible, and you know, well done to them. And I feel like China may be the country that will push the development of lenses more than, let's say, you know, Japanese companies. Obviously it's a big take, but I feel like maybe 10-15 years, that's where we'll start to see technologies coming from. I mean, look at what DJI is doing and things like this, you know, so that's the thing. And I think that Japanese companies are definitely looking at what's happening there. And hopefully that helps with the competition, and that hopefully pushes them to do better as well. So that's kind of my take on this. Competition is good. That's what it is. All right, guys. Well, it's been an hour. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm not going to be here next week, so we're going to have another break. I am going to be going away somewhere nice and warm, doing lots of hikes, enjoying the sun on the beach. So wish me luck. But we're going to miss next one. But I will be looking to see you all again in 2 weeks' time now. If you have any question in the meantime, please leave your questions in the comments below under this video. If you've seen something interesting that you want us to discuss, definitely email us to media@grayeswestminster.co.uk. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope to see you in 2 weeks.